Hey guys, what's up? Chris here for BGN.com. Today I want to do a little bit of an editorial, and I might come off sounding like a complete beer snob, a complete beer ass here, but it's something that's been on my mind for the last couple years. Let's talk about Sierra Nevada and how I don't think they deserve the credit they get. First of all, we have to establish some kind of base Sierra Nevada points here. I completely understand what they did for craft beer. You cannot take that away from them. I would never try to take that away from them. I understand what Sierra Nevada Pale Ale did. I completely get it. It created, arguably some of the pale ales and IPAs and the hoppy beers that we have today. I completely understand that. I understand what they do for the environment. I appreciate the brewing practices. They treat their employees very well. They're very environmentally conscious. Can't take that away from them. I completely appreciate that and agree with it 100%. They're a fantastic brewery. The problem is the beer. That's really where I have the problem and the issue with Sierra Nevada, and a couple other points as well. But the big thing for me is they're just not brewing up to, I think, the standard that they're being held to, the standard that people have in their mind, the standard that as craft beer fans, we know where they came from. And I think they may have fallen to the wayside as far as their innovation, their brewing techniques, their beer in general. Whenever a new Sierra Nevada, however you want to say Nevada or Nevada, I don't want to hear, whenever a new beer from them comes out, I'm always like, all right, I really want to try it. I want to review it, and I like to review Sierra Nevada beers because I know you guys like to see them because you can get them. They're easy to get, and let's not forget, they're solid beers. They're just middle of the road, solid beers, forgettable for the most part, very, very safe, kind of brewed to style, which is fine. Again, you can't take that away from them. But with all of that said, and let's talk about their IPAs. Let's talk about their pale ale. Let's talk about their pale ale straight out. I'll get right to the point. That beer gets a lot of people into craft beer. I completely understand that. Dogfish 60-minute IPA is the same way. Stone IPA is the same way. But I got to go to the Asheville brewery that just opened about a year ago now, I guess. Had a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale on tap. I've had it a couple times, since I really got into craft beer. I never thought that beer was that great. It was fine. Again, it was fine. It was a serviceable pale ale, a little bit of citrus, but never anything too crazy, especially when I got into IPAs. I never really understood why people thought that beer was hoppy. Now, to their credit, to be fair, I wasn't into craft beer 25 years ago. So I can't, I can't see the forest of the trees for what Sierra Nevada Pale Ale was back then as compared to as what it is now. Now, are we calling it a West Coast Pale Ale? Well, you have to lump that into the same group as your West Coast Pale Ales that we currently know, big, hoppy, essentially IPAs. You just want to put it out there. It's essentially an IPA. So when you compare that pale ale to its peers, which other West Coast pale ales, most pale ales in general today have more hoppiness than Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. You could put that out there. So Sierra Nevada Pale Ale is not a bad beer per se. It's just, in my opinion, boring and fine and not something I would ever go to, not something I would even recommend to new people getting into craft beer. I think there's so many great craft beers out there for quote-unquote entry-level craft beer drinkers that Sierra Nevada Pale Ale just wouldn't even be on my radar. There was a viewer on the channel, and I forget his name, I apologize, but he commented, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, or Sierra Nevada in general, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale is the number one go-to craft beer for gas stations. It's the gas station go-to craft beer. Let me try that again. It's the craft beer. It's the go-to craft beer of gas stations, which about sums it up. You go into a gas station and buy a six-pack. You're going to see, your InBevs, your all that crap, Blue Moon, Sierra Nevada, usually going to be there. Usually pale ale. So I think that's where it lies. I think people remember it better than it actually is, and that's fine. Again, I'm coming off probably a beer snob here, but I think as someone who has a lot of craft beer and kind of you build up a comparison level when you start to drink so many different beers and you kind of remember more things than others. And Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, to me, is mediocre at best at this point. Not to say it wasn't a world-class beer at one point for what it was, a completely, business-altering beer as it, revolutionized craft beer. I completely get that. That's not to say the cotton gin didn't do the same thing for Industrial Revolution. We're not using the cotton gin anymore. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of the same type of thing. So, all right, that's that. Let's get that out of the way. I have talked, I think, ad nauseum about their hop. I hate how they use whole cone hops, hop leaves, especially with their IPAs and their double IPAs. I wish they just wouldn't do it. I think they're just spinning their wheels with that. They're just spinning their wheels. They take up so much more room. They don't hold the hop quality as much in the beer over a length of time. And they're a little bit more expensive because you have to use more of them. Why don't they just use hop pellets for a little bit? Just use hop pellets in some of their beers. What is it? Like their double IPA. I forget what it's. Optimum. Why don't they try using using hop pellets in that? I mean, it's like a 9% all whole cone hop double IPA. It doesn't hold up. It's fine, but it just doesn't hold up. And I don't understand why they're so committed to that. I mean, I get it. They're sticking to how they used to do it. I completely get that. But we have to change in order to move forward. And I just wish they would do that. And the third and final point I'll make, and this is really kind of the nail in the coffin for me, their distribution is freaking terrible. Okay, they were on the West Coast. I completely get that. Getting the beer to the East Coast might not be the freshest. All right, whatever. I completely get that. Even though everyone else on the West Coast can pretty much get their beer over here that distributes here in Pennsylvania in a timely fashion. The nail in the coffin was 2 years ago, the beer camp that came out. It was the 12 different beers. I reviewed it. It was terrible. It was 3 months old by the time it hit shelves in Pennsylvania. 3 months. That is completely unacceptable when almost half of those beers were some kind of hoppy beer or an IPA or a double IPA, something that an IPL was in there, and that's just completely unacceptable. They brewed those beers, those special beers, they wanted people to try them, and they can't get them out there, and it just drives me nuts. Case in point, looking back, Optimum just came out. By the time it hit my distributor, it was almost 8 weeks old, almost 2 months old, I am not going to spend $60 on a case of double IPA that's almost 2 months old and it's considered fresh by the brewery. It's unacceptable. The Sierra Nevada, this year's beer camp with the 6 varieties in there, almost 2 months old when it hit store shelves. Like, I bought it the day it came out practically, and it was almost 2 months old. Completely unacceptable, if you ask me. So what is the problem? Well, like I said, when they were on the West Coast, I understand shipping, whatever. Now that they have a brewery on the East Coast, it's a gigantic brewery. Why is that beer, and that beer might very well be this beer we're getting. I just don't know why we don't get fresher Sierra Nevada. Maybe that's just my case. But I'm in a pretty big beer market, and Sierra Nevada's, pretty popular around here. So you would think they would want to get it to as fresh as they can. And 2 to 3 months, 8 weeks for a double IPA, that is not fresh. That is not fresh. Not fresh. All right. And then I've read some of the comments when I did the beer camp review, this most recent one, and people were saying, well, they bottle condition, so there's already a couple weeks there. Don't bottle condition. If you know you've got an IPA or whatever, and from what I understand, they don't actually fully bottle condition. They do like a little bit of forced carbonation and a little bit of bottle conditioning. It's this weird hybrid thing. Just do straight on forced carbonation. Please. If it gets a couple weeks off the age of the beer, you're doing nothing but hurting your product. Now, not everyone who drinks Sierra Nevada is going to understand that. I completely get that. But for me, for a lot of beer geeks, for a lot of craft beer people who know what's going on, we're not buying Sierra Nevada because of the date and because we know what they're doing to that beer. It's ridiculous, it's stupid, and it's a bad business practice, in my humble opinion. So, I mean, like I said, might be coming off as a beer snob here, but that is my feeling on Sierra Nevada. I just don't buy their beer anymore unless it's a new beer to review for you guys. The only reason. And it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. With that said, there's a big asterisk there. I love Narwhal. Love it. But it's an imperial stout. It can age. It sets with time. It's fine. But that's an imperial stout. That's not a pale ale. It's not a double IPA. It's very, very frustrating. I just feel like it's being squandered. It's a great brewery. It's a great company. And again, I don't take anything away from the contributions they've made to the craft beer world. You just can't. But I'm just talking in relative current terms about what they are doing to craft beer or what craft beer is doing to them and what they're not seeing and what they should be doing. It hurts. It doesn't hurt. It bothers me and it bugs me. I just feel like it's wasted opportunities and it's unfortunate. So we shall see. We shall see. So folks, with that said, remember folks, life's too short. Drink amazing beers. Cheers.